Mahaprasadam today from Mayapur and other places. We'll distribute after the class. Little swear to you. Oh, you're laughing, you know. This is not funny. I saw that you didn't unmute this. I'm joking. Namo Vishnu Praya Krishna Vishnu Tulashmi Dvartana Sastera Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Do we have a book? We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto. We are at chapter 27. This is, what is this? Chandravega attack on the city. What was that? Entitled Attack by Chandravega on the city of King Puranjana. And today we're going to discuss text number 2. Okay, before we do that, let's offer some vocation prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shavaka Chakshunamita Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashta Bhutale Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinam Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Pracharya Shishnu Prachit Krishnanya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Okay, what did we discuss last time? Anybody remembers? Yeah.
We discussed about covering our intelligence.
Okay, we discussed about last covering our intelligence then.
We discussed also about mentioned about Cupid.
Okay.
So how does women try to control men and she becomes herself and she fulfills her wishes and desires through man.
Okay, we discussed how the woman tries to control the man, and how
By
fulfills her desires.
yeah, to fulfill
Okay, something like this. Yes, we discussed. Anything else? Anybody else? No, nobody else was there last Tuesday. Should start making notes. Start making notes. It's a good idea to make notes. Then you remember something, and then something will be retained or benefit from something. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Okay. So, what did we discuss? Okay, last time we are starting this new chapter, and it points out that the queen brought the king under her control by definitely keeping the king under control, king being lusty, and she knowing the art of enticing him. She brought him under control in such a way. So what we discussed also in the purport, what Srila Prabhupada pointed out, that sinful life can be counteracted by various processes of religion, yagya, vrata, and dana. So that sinful propensity of lust, if we see when we are lusty, then what we discussed, what we pointed out last time, is that one feels some sense of power, no? But actually, on the contrary, one is overpowered. It's very interesting. Then one feels sense of control, but actually one has lost the control. One feels that one will enjoy, but actually one doesn't really enjoy. Has some initial agitation or some excitement, but there is no real enjoyment. At the end, it's suffering. It ends in suffering. Everything ends in suffering. So this is the nature of lust. And then both ways, men and women exploit this state, lusty state. And therefore lust, as Krishna pointed out in Bhagavad Gita, it's our greatest enemy. So if we perform religious process, yagya, vrata, dana, tapa also, then we can conquer over that lust. And we will not be subjected to such kind of unwanted urges, which we see. What happens then when one actually thinks he's in control, but it becomes controlled? What kind of circumstance, what kind of position that is? It's not a very desirable position. When one feels that, yes, I'm controlling, I'm enjoying, but it's just the other way around, then it's not a very nice realization. So this is what has been pointed out, that the king was attracted by sex life, and therefore his queen took advantage of this. And it has been discussed how the woman's sex desire is 9 times stronger than the man's. And Prabhupada said that therefore man's duty is to keep a woman under his control by satisfying her, giving her ornaments, nice food, clothes, and engaging her in religious activities. So man has to be capable of providing. If it's not, then better he doesn't marry. Of course, better he doesn't have any interactions either, because then in that case would be completely sinful, fully sinful, as taking advantage. So if the man becomes attracted to the woman simply for sex enjoyment, then family life is abominable. Actually, there's no family life. Practically, there's no family life. So that's how Srila Prabhupada was explaining later on, that the whole world is governed by these 2 modes, Rajaguna and Tamaguna, attraction of sex life. And one should not fall under such control of these lower modes. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, well, there were many points. There were quite a number of points. Nobody's raising those out. So I think I'll just... It said here that generally, yes, there is the tendency to become subjected to the passion, Raja and Tamas. But then if a man, it's dutiful, and then the wife, if the man is somehow situated in the mode of goodness also, he has to be situated in the mode of goodness, then he'll be able to lead his wife also to the mode of goodness. And then, that's as Srila Prabhupada points out, the intelligence of a man and woman then may work very nicely, cooperatively together and advance towards spiritual realization. Of course, that's not easy to achieve. It requires a lot of sacrifice, it requires a lot of understanding, a lot of knowledge, a lot of work. That's what actually any ashram is, it's a lot of work. And then in the conclusion, Prabhupada pointed out that a household life is better than sinful life. So instead of just being sinful and gratifying one's senses in so many unlawful ways, it's better to take some responsibility and then try to fulfill those different urges in a regulated way. Because if it's if it's not regulated, then yes, then it's sinful. Well, and then one will have to be subjected to different reactions. Like here we will see, this is what this chapter continues with. It will describe the position of somebody who is sinful and what the reactions were. And what happens when one unrestrictedly engages in the activities of sex life. Okay, so here we have the text too. Unless anybody else wants to point out something from the last discussion. When one comes to Krishna consciousness, one realizes this. What is the true sense? Otherwise, one is bewildered by Cupid, who is the greatest distraction. Fall down, yes, that's there. Okay. Any other points or comments? Something from the last discussion? Anybody was present? So text 2, Saraja Mahashim Rajan Sushantam Ruchirananam Kritasvastyaya Nam Triptam Abhyanat Upagatam. Translation and prepared by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Said, the queen took her bath and dressed herself nicely with all auspicious garments and ornaments. After taking food and becoming completely satisfied, she returned to the king. Upon seeing her beautifully decorated, attractive face, the king welcomed her with all devotion. Purport. A woman is generally accustomed to dress herself nicely with fine garments and decorative ornaments. She may even sometimes wear flowers in her hair. Women especially dress themselves up in the evening because the husband comes home in the evening after working hard all day. It is the duty of the wife to dress herself up very nicely so that when her husband returns home, he becomes attracted by her dress and cleanliness and thus becomes satisfied. In other words, wife is the inspiration of all good intelligence. Upon seeing one's wife dressed nicely, one can think very soberly about family business. When a person is too anxious about family affairs, he cannot discharge his family duties nicely. A wife is therefore supposed to be an inspiration and should keep the husband's intelligence in good order so that they can combinedly prosecute the affairs of family life without impediment. Okay, so there are several points here. The queen took bath and dressed nicely, auspicious ornaments, taking food, becoming completely satisfied. She returned to the king. Upon seeing the beautifully decorated, attractive face, king welcomed her with all devotion. So Srila Prabhupada explains that that's the nature of a lady. She likes to dress herself. Prabhupada points out also sometimes wearing flowers. So that is one of the characteristics of someone. Well, in both modes, it's in the mode of passion, it's in the mode of goodness also, that someone decorates oneself, that someone presents himself in a particular way. Just like this Sunday we showed that PowerPoint, there were so many, if some of you were here present, you could see how many different hairstyles are there. And that's nothing, that's like how many could be there, and they are they there. I mean, it's like people are ready to do enormous sacrifice to place their, hair in a certain shape and form, and how much trouble sometimes it is. You wanna shape your hair in a certain way, and then it doesn't respond. That also becomes a trouble. That's also how many difficulties. And then sometimes you don't have any hair, and then what you do? Then it's also a trouble. And it's like so many things. So I know I've been in Africa. I know that ladies there, they have particular trouble with the hair because it's very curly. It grows very curly, from the root, and they try to stretch it, and then they do all kinds of things. It's really, just because it becomes just like a real, like a jungle, really practically. And it's like they have a lot of trouble there. It's like, really, it's heavy karma. It's a suffering, and then try to do all kinds of things to do with the hair. So anyway, by the nature, everybody's trying to make themselves attractive, no? Beautiful, because that's what they think. Everybody's looking in the mirror Everybody's thinking this is who I am, and therefore I have to be attractive. And then, of course, especially if you live with someone, it's just very natural that you try to be presentable at least, no? You keep some standards of cleanliness, no? You cannot just be living like animals, acting by the urges and do anything and everything, you know. Even if you feel certain urges for relieving any kind of bodily needs or whatever it might be there, you have to control it. You can't just do it anytime and any place or whatever it might be, no? Yeah. So it is just very natural that one will be investing a lot of time and energy in making oneself presentable. And especially therefore ladies also, Srila Prabhupada points out, they like to dress themselves, they like to present themselves. But what has been noticed in this age of Kali especially, and especially recently, in some recent decades, then it's not that when the husband comes home, like Srila Prabhupada said, he's describing this. Of course, there is a reason for that we will point out. But when the ladies are dressing, then they don't dress for the husband. They dress for others. You know, it's not that when husband comes home and then the ladies dress to attract the husband. No, that's not the case. You know, she's dressing when they go out, or she goes out to attract and appear attractive to others, not towards the husband and to husband. Yeah. So that's something that becomes a great difficulty in the relationships, because then how will husband feel in any way obliged towards the family? How would husband feel in any way controlled, illusioned, attracted, inspired? Srila Prabhupada is using this word here, inspired. It's not going to happen. And then if she is dressing for somebody to impress somebody else, then she ends up with somebody else. And so often that happens. Same thing for the husbands. If they're not dutiful towards their family, then they're, venturing, becoming dutiful in some other ways towards someone else, then that's also the reason for breaking the families. So propensity is there. Propensity is there. Everybody, to get some particular type of cloth, get some particular, whatever fashion might be there. So many different, that's a whole universe of that one can be completely lost within it. Very often we see, what people follow certain fashion trends, people follow certain, it's a life, it's a lifestyle. Lifestyle, actually, it's a lifetime, one is living all of those and strongly identifying with this. And if it's not like this, then, it's not good. And I just, of course, that's not a new thing, but my mother was commenting, she has. I have two nieces, so she has two granddaughters. And then there was something going on in the school that this particular, some dress, something was not of a particular brand, and then everybody has to have a particular brand, and then they kind of comment and discuss things and judge things and everything according to that kind of external appearance. And so there's all kind of mental things going on. But that's going on everywhere, and that's not just going on now. That has been going on since quite a long time, quite some decades already. One is judged by that's true. In a sense, that's true. One is judged by one's dress, but that's not complete. It's not perfect. It's not real, but it has a strong effect. Let's say somebody may be very, very meticulously dressed and have a very strong appearance as such, some whatever, let's say, suit or whatever dress might be. And then people will judge someone according to the dress, no? But they won't judge someone by the character. They won't judge someone by the purity. They won't judge someone by the level of consciousness, what I say. No, they'll judge by external ways. So this is why it said in Kali Yuga that one will be judged, one will be understood or one's position will be understood just by the external appearance, by the dress. And then somebody might be also dressed like a sadhu, for example, and people think this is sadhu and the sadhu is like this or whatever. But that's not correct. That's not correct. So it's just by some external appearance. So that's a symptom of Kali Yuga, just by the dress. Of course, dress is important, especially when we address, like Srila Prabhupada did pointed out. He said first dress, then address. Dress has to be appropriate. Dress has to be, it can't be just anything, It's not just you just come out of the Goshala and then you go to some corporate, give some corporate presentation or something like this. That's not going to work. It's just, it wouldn't really be appropriate. So, so one has to have some sense, but again, the things should not be just understood and taken from this external point of view, external appearance. Although that definitely has certain effect. And from another point of view, what is very interesting about Vedic culture is that the dress, it's never out of fashion. You can wear chadar and dhoti always. And it never changes. It's always the same thing. It's always the same dress. Whereas if you want to be updated, in the modern material world, practically every few months there's something different going. And then whatever you wore earlier, it's considered outdated. Anyway, this propensity is here for everyone pretty much to dress, but then it's better, like if any propensity is there, what is always the best way to utilize that propensity? It's to use it for Krishna. No? So we also dress nicely for Krishna. We also put tilak nicely for Krishna. We also do certain things, but we try to do it for Krishna. That's the best. Or okay, fine, like here it is said, the wife will do that for the husband. And then there is a reason for that, There is a reason, especially they dress themselves in the evening. And as I said, that's not going on nowadays. But that used to be the culture, and there used to be a very important reason for this. Why? Because then the husband would be inspired. Another reason is that husband would be kept in illusion. Just imagine you come home, you're working hard, you're tired, and there is some woman there, and she is not, she didn't take bath, her hair is loose, she's, one kind of garment only, which is, like worn out and whatever this and that. How would that be inspiring to anyone? How would that keep that man in illusion? Yeah. How would that keep that man under certain control? It's not going to happen. So it was just known very well. Actually, you see, this is Vedic culture. This is Vedic culture because the Vedic culture knew how to control a man. Now, how do you control the man? How do you control? How do you control a man? Huh? What do you think? How you could be controlled? By what? Basic things. Huh? How would you control someone? Let's say your wife. If you can, how would you control some man? What is the most powerful way of controlling someone? It's not that difficult. I mean, you could think about how would you be controlled by what? It's not difficult to guess so much. But in a cultural way. In a cultural way. Not talking about some gross sex life or something. In a cultural way. How do you control? How do you control the husband? Really, nobody knows. Nobody can guess. How would you control someone? Okay.
We are not married yet.
Yes, that's true. Once, by giving good food. By giving good food. If a lady knows how to cook well, that man, it will be completely under her control. And he'll take up on her consciousness also, because her consciousness goes into food also. He'll be complete, what they call the henpeck husband. completely through food. Nowadays, which girl knows how to cook? Which girl knows how to cook? I doubt any. I doubt if any. So you see, this is the nature of material existence. They don't even know how to control someone. Maybe they'll be able to control someone for some short time by sex life, but that will wear off very soon. And that's why no relationship will last longer. How long somebody can stay together just because of sex life? Very, very short period of time. So, because they don't know the basic psychology. So the woman will control, yes, by nice food, by knowing how to cook nicely. Because the man is working hard, and then he comes back home, he takes nice food, and he's very pleased and satisfied. He feels extremely obliged. No? He feels extremely obliged. And then another thing, she's dressing nicely. She's welcoming, speaking some sweet words. Some of you maybe are working, how it's whole day in the office, so much struggle, so much fight, so much, endeavor that has to be made, in order to earn some profit, so much struggle. And then you come home, and then on top of that, somebody starts banging you there, why you're not this, why you're doing like, why you're not, it's like you go mad. Then that's why it said, such a home, it's no better than forest, so better go to forest. Why living in such a so-called home, if there is no affectionate wife, what's the point of being in such a home? So that's why she's supposed to keep the man in illusion, in the control like this, that, okay, when he comes home, that he can feel welcome and happy and satisfied. And then he's inspired. Okay, this is something that I need. I need that support. I need that encouragement. I need something nice, something pleasant. And that's illusion. It's all illusion because it's temporary, and because it's based on certain interests, but it keeps things going on. But it's also a foundation for certain spiritual activities. Because that kind of ashram life, that's why it's important. It keeps the family together, and why family should remain together. That's what we discussed on Sunday a little bit. Because of children mostly. So that children can grow up in a proper atmosphere and also have some certain appropriate foundation for their lives in the future. So this is all part of the culture. This is what has to be there. This is what has to be present. So that's why wife is appropriately behaving and relating to the husband. And of course, then husband also has his own responsibilities and duty, and then he also has to fulfill certain requirements like this. And then there can be some inspiration within the Grhastha ashram. Otherwise, it's not going to work. The wife is dressing for someone else. The wife is cooking for someone else. He's also spending money somewhere else, or whatever this and that. But then, how is that going to work? So that's why the Vedic culture was very nicely organized in such a way that everybody knows their duties, and they know how to inspire each other, and they know how to keep in illusion each other. But somehow by bringing in some spiritual practices, then all of this is purified, or it can be utilized for advancing in the spiritual life, developing some attraction and attachment towards Krishna. So this is how husband was inspired. So another point Srila Prabhupada said, the wife is inspiration of all good intelligence. That's another view to seeing this kind of grihastha life. Inspiration of good intelligence. So that also can be divided into two different ways. Can be understood in 10 different ways, materially and spiritually. Because if a husband is satisfied at home, then he won't venture and he won't, perform any kind of sinful activities outside of the home. He won't perform any sinful activities at all because he'll be pleased at home. He won't even think of, doing something that it's not according to Dharma. So she will be that good intelligence. She will support that. She will support the Dharma. She will support religiosity. So that's a good intelligence. In this way also wife keeps husband under control. She provides certain material needs and requirements for for the husband, so that he can then also focus on the spiritual life. And also somehow they can both together perform some spiritual activities. And then here, from material point of view, then he can be very soberly thinking about family business. He can be inspired, as we said. So Prabhupada concludes saying that when a person is too anxious about family affairs, he cannot discharge his family duties nicely. Because if situation at home it's not pleasant, then again, where that inspiration will come from? It's not going to come from. So wife is therefore supposed to be an inspiration and should keep the husband's intelligence in good order, so they can combinedly pursue the affairs of family life without impediments. So there are certain roles, and everybody has to play their role. Let's say you're playing a game, no? Can you just invent your own roles or positions or ways to play? No, you have to follow a certain pattern. Then that game will have some meaning. You can't just invent anything on your own in any way and anyhow. It doesn't work like that. So family life, it's also like this. You want to have a successful family life, then you have to follow certain roles. And that's why Vedic culture is actually the most progressive culture, because it's so detailed and it's so deep, it's so vast, and it's so clear in terms of anyone's position that everything is clear if you apply that. And on top of everything, of course, you get a particular result. But if you experiment and what's going on nowadays, then what kind of result you can get? Definitely nothing. Just disappointment and frustration, enormous frustration. Enormous frustration. Because neither woman is acting as she should act, neither the man is acting as he should act, and therefore you don't have any family life. And that's why what Arjuna is concerned about saying to Krishna, Adharma vibhavat Krishna pradushanti kulasya strishu dushta suvarshna jayate varna shankara. And then you have Varna Shankara. And then when Varna Shankara gets married with some other Varna Shankara, then you have more Varna Shankara. Varna Shankara means mixed population. Mixed in terms of understanding, what am I supposed to do with my life? Mixed in terms of understanding the psychophysical condition. How many of you know what's your psychophysical condition? How many of you are clear about your psychophysical condition? Huh? Think about it. You don't have to raise your hand, but think about it. What do you really want in life? What you like in life? How you should be situated? How you should be earning money that it's really pleasing and satisfying, that makes you happy, contented. Yeah. And then what about ashram? That also. It's very difficult. It's such a struggle because it's mixture. Sometimes you feel like this, sometimes you feel like that, sometimes it's all kinds of things going on. That's the problem, because there is no proper planning, there is no proper situation. Yeah. So that's why Kali Yuga, it's a big mess. It's a big mess. So when nobody knows what the duties are, what it's supposed to be done, and so much struggle going on. And then, of course, then we think, if I keep on changing partners, if I keep on doing this and that, and of course, it's just making more confusion. We're just placing ourselves in more difficulties than everybody else, and that results in a lot of sinful activities and then a lot of different kinds of reactions. So this is why, as I said, it's an advantage of Vedic culture. It's very clear about anyone's position. And then if we accept this and adopt this, then we can see how beneficial then that is. Incredible psychology. It's just amazing psychology. It's very clear what a position of one's mind is, and then how one reacts in certain circumstances, and then what should be done in certain circumstances. What is the feminine psychology? What is masculine psychology? How one should react. And this all, actually, we see all of this in Srimad Bhagavatam. We can see how Krishna is acting with his queens. We can see how Krishna is acting with everyone. Just perfect example. Just everything. There's whole complete psychology given. How one should do, what one should say, how one should behave. how one can inspire, It's not growth just by sex life because it doesn't last. That's the point. Yeah. If you want longer lasting relationship, then there's so many other things that have to be involved. That involves some culture, and that involves a lot of responsibility and a lot of sacrifice, because otherwise that kind of relationship doesn't have any other purpose. Yeah. It doesn't have any purpose. Because the ultimate purpose of any relationship, like it said here, should be aimed at spiritual advancement. Then it has a purpose. Otherwise, it's meaningless. So this is what Srimad Bhagavatam is offering. It's offering us that understanding. What is our position? Now we say, okay, that's old-fashioned. Who's going to follow this? But okay, but then what's the example that we can offer? What's the example that we can have? Here in the material world, nowadays in modern Mumbai city, what is it? Or whatever the Bollywood is offering, what is it? What is it? What kind of life is this? What kind of existence is this? And it's complete animal life. Complete animal. If we think that's better, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Have fun. Have fun. Let's see how long it lasts. When you end up in a court case, being dragged by some woman or something because of this and because of that, and then you have to keep on paying, I don't know what kind of amounts of money, and then for this and for that, and then all kinds of accusations and all kinds of cases going on, all kinds of things, and you'll be happy. Unfortunately, you don't end up in jail. So many things going on. If you think that's fun and that's great, okay, just go ahead. Go ahead, have fun. Have fun. Yeah. Instead of having, nice, at least culturally, progressive family existence. But the problem is who follows? Who follows? And how can you expect somebody to follow also? That's the biggest problem in this age. Somebody may even agree initially to so many things, but then later on it turns out unsubstantial. Then what do you do then? That's also a big problem. Yeah. So these are some of the pastimes of the family life that King Puranjana is exemplifying here. And therefore, hopefully, we should learn something. Should learn something out of this. Because if we don't, then we'll definitely we'll have to go through some of the personal experiences. Yeah. Unfortunate personal experiences. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Yes.
You said that when the Mataji dresses appropriately for her husband, then he's kept in illusion. If he's getting out of that illusion, isn't that a good thing?
If he's getting out of the illusion, okay, if she's dressing and keeping him in illusion and he's getting out of that illusion, is that a problem? Yes, he will get out of the illusion. How can you keep someone in illusion? Can you keep someone in illusion for eternity? No, you cannot. That's why Vanaprastha life is there. That's why Sannyas life is there after Grhastha life. Sooner or later, one will figure out. You cannot keep illusion. It's not easy to keep an illusion. Illusion is very expensive. They just, you're setting for the movie screens and stuff, all this stuff. How much money it takes, to make a good setup for some shot, some scene or something. How much money it takes, no? It takes a lot of money. Enormous money to create some kind of scene when you will think that this is, it will create some illusion about certain space or, something that's supposed to happen there or whatever, Enormous illusion. So it's not easy for a woman to keep a man in illusion for a long time. It takes a lot of endeavor. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of, financial support. It's not easy. So definitely for a man, it's good to get out of that illusion. And then slowly, that is what happens. But then still, one should remain dutiful, even though he might be out of the illusion. Because, nobody is beautiful for, eternity either. Nobody is like physically attractive for eternity either. That also wears out. So that's why the principle of steady Grihastha life shouldn't be just, bodily attraction. It should go beyond bodily attraction. It should be based on some duties like this, some higher principles. And that's also taking care of the children, raising the children, having some spiritual life going on. Then that will prolong that illusion or sense of duty or remaining together. But even that becomes also, that it's not so easy. It's not easy. That's why usually when children grow up, then the son take care of the mother and the father can go to forest. That's what vanaprastha means. So it's good for a man, yes, to come out of the illusion. So if you don't have to get an illusion in the first place, that's better. It's a better option. It's a better option. But then you have to learn what it means, what it involves being in this illusion. What it involves and whether it's really useful, passing through 2, 3, maybe 4 decades of life, learning things in a harder way, or better we learn it here by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why I said this chapter is going to be a very interesting chapter. You'll see what will happen to Puranjana. Ooh, I just opened a little bit ahead. King Puranjana becomes a woman in next life. This is next chapter. This is next chapter. Anyway, I'm just keeping you a little bit excited now because it's see what happens. Yeah. Instead of going back to Godhead, he takes on the different role. Phew, that's going to be really nice. Maybe from next time I'll try to read a little more verses. We just go through this a little faster. But what to do? There are many points we should observe. That's why I'm saying make a note. There are many important points. I mean, I can't address them as maybe we could and wish to address it. But there are many important points. If you don't learn now, then it's going to be a problem. We have to learn it by experience. Not a good idea. So better we learn it now. We learn what is that Vedic culture at least. Learn how to control some senses and mind, and not to be susceptible towards any kind of illusion. Because illusion never made anyone happy. Okay, any other question? Dhruva, is that fine?
Yes.
Anything else? There's not much time left either, but there's no point starting another verse, but so in both ways, the husband has a duty to keep wife satisfied, bringing ornaments, like Prabhupada said, supplying for the nice ingredients so that she can cook and she can have a nice food and he can have a nice food. So both of them, they have certain responsibilities. So one cannot just, expect something and not deliver. That's also inappropriate. That's also very simple, actually. Both of them have their duties. If one agrees, that's what ashram means. Otherwise, it's not ashram. Otherwise, like Grihastha ashram, it's aimed at what? The pleasure of Krishna. But Griha made it, there's a difference. Griha made it's aiming at pleasure of his senses. He may be pious also. He may use the principles of Dharma. But what is his goal? The goal is enjoying the senses, not serving Krishna. So it's a big difference. Yes.
So even like wife is serving the husband nicely.
When wife is serving the husband nicely.
For the husband, it is very difficult to get out of from this house.
For husband, it's very difficult to get out of house. Yes, definitely, it's very difficult.
So I think that yoga it may be very much difficult, but the yoga then it is easy because now no.
So in other yugas was difficult, but in Kali Yuga it's easy. Yes, it's easy. It's easy to get out. It's easy to get out and it's easy to get in something else. That's the problem with Kali Yuga, because there's no culture, there's no higher understanding, see? So it's easy to get out of one family and then form another family. That's what's going on. And then again you get out and then again you form another family, and that's because there's no culture, there's no higher understanding. So it's easy and it's beneficial in this age. Yes, that's a fact, but the problem is people don't have culture, people don't have understanding. And they end up in the same mess doing the same thing over. That is the problem of Kali Yuga. There's no culture. Because in other ages, there would be, it would be more difficult to get out. But once you get out, you have that higher understanding and you don't get back in again. Big difference. Once you're out, then it's understood. You're not going to marry again. No. But in Kali Yuga, you're out within few months. Even sometimes that's too long, But then you get in something else. You didn't realize you didn't learn anything. And then back into square one, So that's the problem. So that's why it's better don't get into anything. If you can manage like this, that's the best. Just don't get involved in anything. You can get some higher test, get some understanding, get some knowledge. It's so much better don't get involved in anything. Because you won't gain anything out of it. Again, you'll have to, at the end, what's the goal of life again? It's to renounce everything material and be focused on Krishna. So why not start doing this right now? Save yourself 20, 30, 40 years of life. Well, of course, that takes some knowledge, takes some good association. Okay, anything else? Our time is up. No? Okay. So we'll distribute our Mahaprasadam now. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande.